Forgot to record it. There we go. Now it should be recording. Yep. And over here we got I-19. So this is like the Santa Cruz River Valley over here. And this is the road that goes up Mount Hawkins. This is Montosa Canyon. Florida Canyon is you instead of taking the turn south to get into Madera, you keep going southwest, and it's not very far off of the main paved road. This road right here is gravel, and not a bad road at all. And you get in here to Florida. So we'll look at that. We're going to look at Madera Canyon first. But when we think of Madera and Florida Canyons, the first thing that we think of when we think of Madera, at least for me, is elegant trogon. That's why so many birders, in particular, come to Madera. Other people from, it's very popular for folks from Green Valley, Santa Rita, southern Tucson, all those areas. When it's hot, people come up Madera Canyon, come up into Madera Canyon, or when it snows, they come up in Madera Canyon. Birders, this is why it's on the map, is the male elegant trogon here and the female elegant trogon over on the right side. Very special in her own way. It doesn't have all the green and the brightness of she's got a little bit of red on her belly, but not as much. But always like the little white around her eye. But this is why people come up to Madera. And I believe that some of you have seen elegant trogon in Madera Canyon before. I wonder how many of you, I should have put together a little poll of how many of you have seen an elegant trogon in Madera Canyon. Maybe just give a little thumbs up on your screen or something if you want to, if you've seen a elegant trogon in Madera. And oh, cool! I get a little check mark when someone raises their hand. So Karen's seen that. Or maybe you have a question. Do you have a question, Karen? Or maybe. Let's see. Debbie, do you have a question, or are you just raising your hand that you saw one?
That I saw one.
Okay, cool. That's what I was just making sure.
I'm like, hey.
Fun stuff. Okay, so how about, does anyone know what bird it is that puts Florida Canyon on the map? So we know elegant trogon is Madera. Anyone know what bird it is that puts Florida Canyon on the map? Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Rufous cap warbler.
Rufous cap warbler. And who's talking there? Who shared that?
Jim Hoagland.
Ah, yes, Jim. Rufous cap warbler. That's the one. That is right there. That's a beauty. So Rufous cap warbler was found in Florida Canyon. And we'll talk about where in Florida Canyon here in a little bit further in our presentation here. But this guy right here, this warbler, is a little bit unlike other warblers. He likes to stay low. He cocks his tail kind of like a house wren. And just above the dam, and we'll talk about where that's at, this is where all the birders are going to find their lifer rufous cap warblers. And they can be really hard to find. But it really is a treat when you get a glimpse of one of these warblers. They're much more common down in Mexico and Central America. When I was in Costa Rica earlier in March, saw a whole bunch of them. It's interesting to go to different places in the world and see things that are rare in one place and common in another. But certainly this is a place to come in the United States to see rufous capped, and people come from all over the states to see these in Florida. Florida used to be a place where you could get away and not see anyone, but not these days. That's all right though. All right, so here's a little bit more of a detailed map on Madera Canyon. And let's see, orient ourselves because it's a little bit different than the one that we just looked at. Down here at the bottom is the Proctor Road parking area. So if you go south from here, then that'll take you back to Green Valley. And so this is like kind of the oak grassland area. And as you move up the paved road, you get to White House picnic area where there's the junipers, and the riparian area is just really good. Moving up, here's Santa Rita Lodge. I'm sure many of you have been to Santa Rita Lodge. If anyone goes Madera Canyon, they have to make a stop there and check out the feeders. And then as you go up, here's the top where it's kind of a circular parking area, and then trails go out all over from here. There's a couple different trails that I'm going to talk about that I think are best for birding through here, and maybe take you a little bit further away from folks if you're able to do a little bit of hiking. And there's actually some good trail systems over here. This would be to the, let's see, this is south. So this would be like to the west, I believe. I always get turned around here, but over on this side of the road, I think there's quite a few trails that normally don't get hiked and checked out for birds, but we'll talk a few of those too.
It's east.
It's east. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Like I said, I do get turned around
I'm
sometimes.
a directionally challenged person.
Sarah, is that you sharing that with me?
Yeah, I'm a
Okay.
directionally challenged person. Yes.
All right. Well, we're in it together. All right. So here's I talked about Santa Rita Lodge, and definitely not an underbirded spot or place that's unknown for birders. In fact, it gets a lot of traffic. But I just wanted to hit on it real quick, just because, even if you go up into Madera Canyon and go on one of the unbirded trails, usually what I'll do after that is make a stop at Santa Rita Lodge, just because it's fun and easy. And if you're unable to do some of these trails, what I want you to know is that you can still gain a lot from going up into Madera Canyon and birding from Santa Rita Lodge, or some of the other pretty accessible areas like from Proctor Road, where there's a paved walking trail. But wild turkeys are all over the place around Santa Rita Lodge for sure. Acorn woodpeckers and Arizona woodpeckers will be at these feeding areas. And so it's just a great spot to stop. You just can't overlook it, even when we're trying to kind of separate ourselves from other birders at some.
Luke, while we're on the subject of Santa Rita Lodge,
Yeah, Bob.
it might be worth pointing out that it's great at night too. There's usually elf owls somewhere on the property. There's been a pair of pygmy owls just down the road at the campground. And there's coatimundi and ringtails that sometimes come to the hummingbird feeders, and there are a lot of Mexican long-tongued bats that come to the hummingbird feeders, and you're not going to see any of those on the hikes up into the forest, so it's really worthwhile.
Yeah, I'm glad you bring that up, Bob. Yeah, the coatimundis, they have one that comes and just sucks the food out of the feeder, and I actually, I'll be honest, I haven't seen the coatimundi there, but I've heard a lot of people who have seen it.
Gosh, he was on the roof of one of the cabanas one of the last times I've visited there. So, there's no guarantees they're wild animals, but the coatis are a lot easier than the ringtails. I can tell you that. I've seen the coatis probably 70% of the time, and I've seen ringtail once. So it's even though they're there, they move around. But the coati, I mean, sometimes he'll go trotting right through the cabana area. So if you're staying there, for sure, keep an eye out for them.
Yeah, and whenever people are asking me like, where should I stay at when I'm visiting Southeast Arizona? Well, one of the spots I recommend is Santa Rita Lodge. It's just a really cool experience to be able to stay the evening in a place right where elegant trogons and coatis and ringtails and elf owls are all around you. So if you're from out of town and you're looking at different places to stay when you're in Tucson, stay a night or two at Santa Rita Lodge. They're a good sponsor for our festival too. So let's see here, get my PowerPoint going again. So Santa Rita Lodge is kind of like mid-canyon right in here. And as Bob said, that there are some northern pygmy owls that are nesting really close to Santa Rita Lodge too, just below it at Madera picnic area. So there's a little parking area that's right here. And you know, I can't say exactly where the nest is at, but right around where the creek is at early in the morning or at dusk is a really good time to go and check out to see if they're around. Just don't. So one thing I want to tell you about Madera Canyon, you're not allowed to play calls anywhere in here. So if you have an app on your phone, I know we talked about birding apps yesterday, all the cool ways of being able to play bird calls or songs, and sometimes use that to birds. Don't be doing that in Madera Canyon. That's not just frowned upon, but it's actually not illegal in Madera Canyon, and especially around nesting areas and breeding season. Let's not do that. So park there at Madera picnic area and spend some time there in the morning or dusk, and it's a good spot for pygmy owl. So also, let me see what, okay. So I'm gonna take us through Madera Canyon and lead us through kind of the seasons. And I think that's a fun way to do it. So in the winter, what I like to do, Madera Canyon in the winter, you can bird up in this higher elevation, but a lot of times it's pretty quiet. And so probably November through February, what I like to do is I like to bird further down. Proctor Road parking area is really good. Or even before you get to the Proctor Road parking area, you can park along the edges of the road, and that's like really good grassland habitat where you're going to want to be looking for sparrows. So in the winter, bird those lower areas. Keep an eye out for sparrows. This is a grasshopper sparrow that I wish some of these branches weren't in the way when I took the picture. But so this is below Proctor Road. As you can see, it was a snowy day, and they actually had the road up to Madera Canyon blocked in the morning. So so I had to park below Proctor Road. And what I noticed when I was walking between where I had to park and walk up the road where it was barricaded off at, is that I had tons of sparrows in between where I had to park and Proctor Road. Grasshopper sparrows, Savannah sparrows, chipping sparrows, white-crowned sparrows, and then around the Proctor Road area, there was some white-throated sparrows as well. I remember 2 of them. So that's kind of an uncommon bird for Southeast Arizona. But in the winter, really good spot for sparrows. And it may not always be, sparrows aren't the most flashy birds, but there's definitely a really good variety for them. And working your way through those grasslands and lower riparian areas are really good opportunities to see a good variety, and maybe something a little bit rare like white-throated or maybe Cassin sparrow would be really good through there too.
There was a golden crown as of like last week, so that right.
Yeah, golden crown, green-tailed towhee, canyon towhee, Aver's towhee, spotted towhee. I mean, yeah, all those types of sparrows through there. Rufous wing sparrow. So,
Luke, how can you identify this one as grasshopper? What's the characteristic you're using?
yeah, so it's not like a really good picture, but it's one that I've taken. I don't have a lot of pictures of grasshopper sparrow. But so, let's see. You see the pattern on the back right here is, it's kind of a unique pattern where you can see some rufous kind of striping there on the back. It's got a flat face. I mean, grasshoppers kind of look flat faced to me, a little bit like botteries or cassins, or, you know, some of those other sparrows that kind of have a flatter face. And then there's a little bit of yellow buffy right through here. Sparrows challenge me different times, so I'll be real honest. But kind of that flatter face is something that stands out to me. So like if it was a Lincoln sparrow, it would have a little bit more like, you know, crown shape, not as big bodied. A chipping sparrow would have a dark eye line here, would have a different body structure. So grasshopper sparrows kind of a thicker body and flatter head. Does that
The
help?
absence of mailer stripes is important too. I was just on a chat yesterday. Somebody found shoot, now I forget, a brewer sparrow in their yard. And there was all kinds of go around. I thought it was rufous winged. Other people thought it was grasshopper. And we went around and around. And I looked at a bunch of different pictures of these similar confusing sparrows. And the grasshopper has no mailer stripes, whereas many of the others do, that can be confused with it. If you
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
You have to see it well enough, which is
Okay.
hard for grasshopper.
Yeah, so these they're called Hamadrymas sparrows. They can be a little tricky, but see, it also has like a really large bill. That's something that stood out to me when I took the picture. And then the pattern of the rufous on the back is something that stands out. So yeah, take your time. That's what I always tell people when you're out looking at sparrows. Take your time. Look at body structure, like that. What shape is the head? How big is the body? Heavy build, slight build. What's a bill look like, and the structure of the bill? Those types of things. I'm probably not the only one on here that has a hard time with sparrows, but we'll get there. That's a great question. Thank you for asking that. And I know that there's some chat going on here. Oh yeah, Mike. Yeah, thanks about that. Flat head, long, heavy bill. Yeah, we're on it. Okay. So also, here's one of my favorite pictures with my friend Sarah Pike. So this is taken January of was it last year when we saw the white-throated thrush? There's a white-throated thrush that was just above Proctor Road. So January is a really good time as you move up through the grasslands, and like if you go back here, down here, Proctor Road, grassland area, and as you park at Proctor Road and you start walking up this little trail, see how it splits right here? I don't know if you can see that, how well, but there's some kind of dotted dotted lines there. And so there's a creek that runs up here. And so where this splits, there's a bunch of hackberries right through this area. So in between Proctor Road and White House picnic area. And what's cool about that is that it attracts a lot of thrushes, especially during the winter. You can find berry thrush, of course, tons of hermit thrushes, American robins, Townsend solitaire, bluebirds. And last year there was a really rare white-throated thrush that Sarah and I were able to locate together, and we're really excited. I'm gonna actually share a different screen with you real quick. I forgot that I had this, so I'm gonna stop that share, and I'm gonna go to a different share. Let's see, get to the right one. So this is my, you don't want to see my email, but let me get to, once that goes up, I can get to eBird, that's Florida. Oh, this is Proctor Road in February. So this isn't when, this is not when I was with Sarah, but the white-throated thrush stuck around for a little while, and I took my son there. And, oh, this is actually the one where the road was barricaded, so my son and I walked, it was about a mile south of Proctor Road when we saw the grasshopper sparrow. And then we also walked up into where all the hackberries were at. And so what you can see is we had 14 western bluebirds, a Townsend solitaire, hermit thrush, white-throated thrush, 8 American robins. Here's what I wrote about grasshopper sparrow. Really short tail, large flattish head. Okay, that kind of stuff. But just so you know, like January, February, December too, check out that area between Proctor Road and White House picnic area. So the lower part of Madera for thrushes. It's just really good. Townsend solitaire is a great bird in its own right. They have 14 western bluebirds and 8 robins swirling around. There's just so many hackberries and food resources for them. All right. I'm gonna move us back to the PowerPoint now. Yeah. And also, there's an elegant trogon overwintering in this area at the same time when that white-throated thrush was around. So if you're only here during the winter and you really want to see a trogon, stick to those lower areas. Elegant trogons won't be overwintering above Santa Rita Lodge at this time. They'll all be lower than that. So wintering trogons, stick around between Proctor Road, White House picnic area, really no higher than Madera picnic area, which is just a tad higher. Also, that whole area can be really good for woodpeckers during that time. White House picnic area, especially where there's a bunch of junipers, you can see sapsuckers like red-breasted sapsucker, lots of red nape sapsuckers, and then you could get different like yellow-bellied sapsuckers or Williamson sapsuckers in there as well, which would be pretty cool. Let's see. So moving out of March and going into April. So I know Bob already shared a few thoughts on owls, and what I would say about owls is that April in Madera Canyon is amazing for owls. And I know we're just coming out of April. We can still go up there, it's May, we can still go up there and catch a lot of these owls. But one thing that I love to do, and it is about mid-April, so around April 15th through the end of April, is at dusk to go up to the top of the, let's see, I think I have a map, yeah, right here. So at the top of the parking area, you go all the way up on the paved road, and there's a circular kind of parking area here. As you go up this side, you'll get to the point where it just starts going down, and you'll see some angle parking right in here. Get there right before dusk, park in the angle parking, and then hike up this 0.3 miles. It is uphill, so, and unpaved trail. So it can be, it's not rigorous, but you do have to be able to hike uphill. But just 0.3 miles, and right here where you can either go on Old Baldy this way or Carrie Nation this way, there's a bench there, which is awesome for those of us who want to take a break and sit down. You park here at dusk, walk up to the bench, and just sit there. Listen to everything. And as it starts to get dark, you'll start to hear Mexican whippoorwill. You might hear northern pygmy owl. That's a pretty common one up there too. You will definitely start hearing whiskered screech owl. And it's just amazing to just sit there in the dark, bring a flashlight with you. Don't worry, no bears will get you or anything like that. It'll be all right. And just sit there. There won't be anyone else because everyone's already off the mountain, but you'll be sitting there listening to all these night birds just come alive. And it really is one of my favorite things to do. I take my son up there just about every year in mid-April, and it's really enjoyable. So as we get later into the year, so like if I was going up to Madera Canyon this time of year, like if I was going tomorrow, Saturday morning, there should be sulfur-bellied flycatchers either there now or coming in anytime. And sulfur-bellied flycatchers, again, right by that bench, almost every time from about middle of May until about the end of August, middle of September, you're going to see or hear sulfur-bellied flycatchers. And this is an overlooked specialty bird of Southeast Arizona that we just, when people come to visit here, they think of elegant trogon, they think of red-faced warbler, they think of Montezuma quail, they think of a rufous cat warbler. But sulfur-bellied flycatcher is just as rare as all those other ones that I just mentioned in the nation. And so this is one that you want to keep your eyes and ears open from about mid-May to mid-September. Anyone have a description of what its call sounds like? You ever heard of that?
Rubber duck.
Yeah, rubber ducky, dog toy, kind of a squeaky sound. It's pretty memorable once you hear it for the first time. And so I would just say that May, when I think of Madera Canyon, I think of sulfur-bellied flycatchers. That's a good one to find.
Luke, is it migrating?
Go ahead.
Is it migrating through, or has it migrated to breed and stay through the summer?
Great question. Yeah, so they migrate up here from Central America and Mexico to breed, and they're one of our latest arrivals. So a lot of birds come up starting in March, April, and in May we get some lingering birds who come up here to breed, including sulfur-bellied flycatcher, varied bunting, yellow-billed cuckoo. Those are some of the later arrivals. Blue grosbeak is another one that usually comes a little bit later. So if you're going up in April, when a lot of migration is happening, we think, oh, all the Mexico birds are coming back. A lot of times people miss sulfur-bellied flycatcher because they're too early. But they breed there, and they love the sycamore trees, just like the elegant trogons. Basically, if you're in elegant trogon breeding area, you're also in sulfur-bellied flycatcher breeding area. Okay, this is kind of what it looks like. So the bench is probably back down this trail a little bit. And so if you keep going up past where the bench is at, this is the Carrie Nation Trail. And you can see it's not like a real worn trail, but this is what it looks like. You got the sycamores over here, then you got this slope with oaks and lots of great vegetation all through here. This is what it looks like when you're looking for sulfur-bellied flycatcher, elegant trogon in through there in the summer. Here's another picture of an area pretty close to it. You can see just kind of lined up. This is one of our festival field trips as we're looking for trogon and sulfur-bellied flycatcher. But just to give you an idea, if you haven't been up above that bench, that's what it looks like. You can see some pine trees in the back here too. So while a few trogons do overwinter, we talked about that a little bit, the best time to see them is about April through September. And this trail that I just kind of showed you up above the bench, the Carrie Nation Trail, is my favorite spot to see elegant trogons. Between mid-April, mid-September, you virtually never miss elegant trogons along this trail. This is a picture that my son took of a female trogon near a nest as we were walking up there. The Carrie Nation Trail is amazing. I think I have another, here's a map. So again, here's where that bench is at, just 0.3 miles up. Instead of hanging to the left and going up Old Baldy, you go to the right. And so this trail is not for everyone. There'll be a little sign here by the bench. Anyone ever seen that sign? You know what it says? It says, very steep trail. So it's not for everyone, but if you do have the physical capacity to do a little bit of hiking, it's not very long. It's just 1.2 miles. At the end of the Carrie Nation Trail, there's an old mine and a spring, and it is one of the best spots in August, September to bird in the mountains. I love this. I do it 2 or 3 times every August, September. Also because this can be one of the best spots in July, August, September for Aztec thrush, which is a super rare bird. I should have put a picture of it up here that I'd never seen, but there's a lot of berries that birds like aztec thrush would be attracted to if they range out of their normal breeding range of Sonora, Mexico, and points further south. But I love hiking this. Painted redstart are all over the place between mid-August and mid-September, along with a lot of other warblers all through this area. Especially if you can get to that spring, it is one of the most amazing spots. I'm going to share a list that I did last year with my wife. So my wife is not a birder by any means. She likes to go hiking with me, which is nice. We probably all have partners or spouses or friends like that. So I'm gonna show you what a normal list from Carrie Nation Trail in August would look like. I think that's Bog Spring. Oh, you tell me I don't have it on here? I thought I had it pulled up. Well, here, I can do this real quick. I can show you. These are Carrie Nation. We don't want those. We want. Show you the one from last year, 8/19. Yeah, view. Okay, so this is with my wife, who's not a birder. And so when I go with her, so we were out for like almost 5 hours, and try not to do too much birding with her, but I definitely did here. You can see what a normal list would look like here. I'll show you all the warblers. So orange crown, Nashville. We had a yellow warbler, which is really high up there. It must have been migrating through. Graces, black-throated gray, 15 painted redstarts. That was a really low count. Like, they seem to be all over the place through there. Red-faced warblers. Once you get up there, you get into like Douglas fir habitat too, which is cool. Hermit and Townsend. So it's yeah, and this was not high-level birding. 6 sulfur-bellied flycatchers, elegant trogon. This was with my wife. So awesome spot. Has anyone hiked the Carrie Nation Trail before?
Luke, this is Debbie. I've hiked it a little bit, and my question is going both ways at that T. Is it a safe place for a woman to be out hiking by herself? I've done it before, and I'm never 100% sure that I'm okay doing it because I don't know. There's a lot of hikers that aren't birders going through there.
Yeah, I would say that Madera Canyon area is that I think that you would be pretty safe because because it is pretty popular spot. So there's a lot of other people out there. And
Yeah.
I think that does help. I'll also say that July through September is not only the time when you might most likely encounter an aztec thrush or a lot of warblers, especially August, September, but it's also the time when you might encounter a bear, a black bear. They're pretty popular through that area too. So, yeah, just keep that in mind.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't worry so much about bears.
Right.
But, you know, yeah, I'm just, because these areas are new to us, I'm not sure where I can be on my own and where it's not such a good idea.
Yeah, I think because it is so popular, that it would be a good spot for you.
Okay, cool.
This is Vicki. Can I make a comment?
Oh yes, please.
Yeah, I live in Green Valley and do Madera Canyon a bit, but yeah, my feeling is it's probably never really safe to hike yourself, whether you're a woman or a man. You really should have a partner. I mean, all you need is a twisted ankle or something.
So true.
And it can get pretty quiet out there pretty quickly. So I think you should always hike or bird with somebody. That's my feeling.
Yeah, maybe once we live down there and we're Tucson Audubon members, I'll make some birding friends.
Right.
Yes, Debbie,
there's a lot down here. So.
Vicki, that's a good point, and I'm glad you brought that up. I should have been thinking through that a little bit more. I've done a few hikes by myself, and you know, you always do have that kind of back in your mind, like what happens if I do twist an ankle? You know, even just a simple twisted ankle can happen pretty easy.
And there's really very poor cell phone service up there once you get past the lodge. So.
Yep. Yeah, I was surprised. I was up there last Saturday, and I was really surprised to have cell phone service at the parking area right here. I'd never had that before, but did for some reason there. All right, well let's keep moving here. I just wanted to show you. So right here, you can see that you can take this old Baldy Trail, goes up to Josephine Saddle. That's a good hike. If you are a hiker and you have someone to go with, getting up to Mount Wrightson is amazing. And right in here, right at Baldy Spring, you got Baldy Saddle. This is a high point here. It's another 0.9 miles up to Mount Wrightson. But Baldy Spring, there's buff-breasted flycatchers that nest here, which you don't have very many buff-breasted flycatchers around in the Santa Rita Mountains. This is always a really good area right in here for birds, especially around the spring. It's just amazing. And a couple of years ago, my son and I camped at Baldy Saddle overnight, and it's just amazing to look out over there. So if you're a hiker and you want to check that out, get away from people, that's a great spot to do it. Okay. As you get into September, late August, September, as you see, this really is my favorite time to be up in this area. There is another hike. If this Kent Spring right here and Sylvester Spring, what I've found is that in between Kent and Sylvester Spring, you can park at Madera Picnic Area or the amphitheater and access these trails here. But this section right here, there's a creek that goes along it and it's really good for butterflies. Like in all of Madera Canyon, this is the best spot for butterflies right through here, I think. And I did that walk a year or two ago with my family, and was actually more focused on butterflies that time. This is an Arizona meadowlark. This is, can't tell if that's my son. I think that's my daughter holding an Arizona sister. They're everywhere. And you can see the flowers back here too. So whether it's Carrie Nation Trail or the trail between Kent Spring and Sylvester Spring, there's so many flowers through that whole section. So not just birds, but just want you to be aware that there's a lot through there. Anyone here a butterfly person? All right.
I'm learning them. Sometimes I get good shots when there's nothing else to take pictures of. There are a lot of butterflies in Arizona.
Yeah, there certainly are. And I think that the longer you're a birder, the more you start to notice the butterflies too. So Florida Canyon, that's what we're going to go into here. Florida Canyon, here's Madera and into Florida. But Florida Canyon is even better for butterflies. And if you're there in August, September, there's will almost always be water through there, and literally the butterflies sometimes just carpet the whole ground. I don't have any pictures. That for some reason I can't find any of my pictures from Florida Canyon with all the butterflies, but I'll take my word for it. So let's see. Looks like someone in the chat there. Did I miss that? Okay, so anyone recognize this right here?
Looks like the water tank.
This is the water tank. Yeah, so this is the famed water tank in Florida Canyon. I'm going to show you something here real quick. I know we're running out of time, but let's see, you get to this. I'm going to show you where to look for rufous cap warblers in Florida Canyon. Here's a Google map. Here's Madera Canyon here. We're going to scroll in. The more we scroll in, oh, I had it. Oh, okay. So you can see this is the Madera Road right here. You take the side road, get into Florida. Once you get into Florida, there's a really obvious parking spot. And it's right here. You can see the cars right there. You won't be able to miss it. Right here, there will be a gate that says Florida, like, kind of, it's oh, it's in my tongue. I should have wrote down there.
The workstation.
Yeah. Thanks, Bob. So this will be gated off. As you can see, as you go up, there's like some cabins and stuff where they do different sorts of different things there. I don't really know what they do. But anyways, you park right there and you'll cross the creek. Sometimes the creek is passable, sometimes it's not. You'll cross the creek and get on this trail right here. You can just see the outline of the trail. And you'll go along the trail. There's a really nice riparian area right next to all the cabins. And once you get to about this spot right here, there'll be a gate. You open up the gate, close it behind you, it'll do a big creaking sound. And then the main trail goes off up here. But what you want to do for rufous cap warbler is to go off the main trail. And right around here where the trail starts, right before, as it starts to go away from the creek, you'll cross the creek and you'll see another trail over here on this side. And it weaves its way. So the trail kind of takes its own form and shape throughout the years, but there's more and more people that are coming into this area. So that trail is really starting to get worn down and noticeable. And you'll come in through here, you can see a little bit of the trail right through here. And this is that water tower that I just showed you. You'll walk past that, and this is where it kind of starts hard to see the trail, but you walk past that and then you'll cross the creek one more time. Cross the creek over to the other side again. And then right as you cross the creek, there'll be like an old dam. And from the old dam, and as you go up higher along the trail, that's the area where you can start seeing rufous cap warbler. And it's a hard trail. So what I suggest is to just, what I always tell people is just take your time. Just take your time with it. And it's totally worth it. So this is a really bad shot. The rufous cap warbler I showed you earlier was not my picture. This is one of my rufous cap warbler pictures. That's normally what happens with me. I'm a birder first and photographer second, or maybe third or fourth or fifth. But late September in Florida Canyon is probably one of the best times to go there. And rufous cap warblers are pretty apparent that time of year. There's also, I would say that if I'm doing Florida, or if I'm going birding in late September or October, and I have to choose between Madera or Florida, I'll choose Florida. If I'm going to, if I'm going birding in July or August and I have to choose between the two, I'll choose Madera. That's just kind of what I usually do. But there seems to be quite a few different migrants going through the Florida Canyon area in late September. So moving back into winter, kind of wrapping this up. Who likes to bird in the snow? Any of you have some good snow birding memories?
Yeah, I'll have to share since I'm not going to be on the best bird ever this Tuesday. I once had to walk about 3 miles through snow to find some boreal owls up in a little island in Lake Ontario many years ago. And I turned around and the boreal owl was staring me in the eye. So that was a good memory.
Yeah.
But ordinarily, it's not really that much fun.
Well, here's what I'll tell you. Even though I'm not a photographer, taking pictures of birds in the snow can be awesome. And what I'll tell you about Tucson, Green Valley, Santa Rita, whole Southeast Arizona, when it snows here, people love to go up in the mountains and see it. It's like, we only get to see snow maybe once or twice a year, right? So everyone and their brother and their uncle and their uncle's uncle all go up into the mountains and want to see the snow. Well, we want to too, but if you're looking for a place to get away and see the snow, you don't want to be up Mount Lemmon or Madera Canyon because there's going to be so many people and no one knows how to drive in the snow down here. But Florida Canyon can be a fun spot to go and experience in the snow. You can cool pictures like cardinals there in the snow. So this is a time when my son and we wanted to go play in the snow. So we went to Florida Canyon, and there's no one else there. This is right from the parking area. This is right at the second creek crossing. So you can see the water level is pretty high. We didn't go up very far, but it was just a really cool experience. So if you're here in the winter and it snows, I'd encourage you to go check out Florida. It's also a good spot for thrushes too. There's a lot of hackberries through there that attract different birds that are looking for food resources.
Have you ever seen any big animal tracks like mountain lion in the snow up there?
I wish so. I wish I have, but I have not. I'm sure they're up there. So also this is the last slide here, I believe. Yep. So Florida Canyon in April, May, a really good time for some birds that you wouldn't normally see in Madera. It's a lot harder to see golden eagle or bronze cowbird, Scott's oriole, also varied bunting, blue grosbeak. Sometimes those are a little bit harder to find in Madera, but Florida is a great spot. It kind of has a mix of riparian, oak woodland, and Sonoran desert all together. So it's a great spot for those. I could talk on and on about Madera and Florida, but we're going to wrap it up, and would love to take any questions that you guys have.
Just a quick comment about the big mammals. When we go to Madera, we camp at Bog Springs, and the last time we were there, the dog and I were taking the potty run and depositing some trash in the bin, and we saw a mountain lion.
Oh, awesome!
Across the
But
road
scary.
in the campground. It was stunning. I couldn't decide if I was terrified or excited. It was lucky I didn't have to pee.
Woo!
So
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, I'll reiterate again, July through September, or really October too, is really good for black bears in Madera Canyon, especially along Carrie Nation Trail. You know, just as there's a lot of food resources for birds, there's a lot for bears right through there too. Any other questions?
Luke, this is Jim Hoagland.
Jim?
On the Rufous Cap Warbler, is there just a pair up there, or are there several of them?
I think there have been reports of several. I've never seen more than two.
Okay.
So in my experience, it's just a pair. And what I've also noticed is that in the winter, you'll have a harder time finding Rufous Cap warblers. So Rufous Cap better between, I don't think they migrate. I think they just kind of disperse. I think they probably are there year round, but I think, you know, really March, April through September, October is your best chance for Rufous Cap.
One other quick question. The buck-bellied flycatcher, what elevation do you see that at? Is it low or high or where?
Yeah, buck-breasted flycatcher will be high. So that's right past that Baldy Saddle. Where's my map at? I can tell you.
Generally, they're above 8,000 feet.
Yeah, so
Parkland.
by the way, if any of you are hikers, I don't know if you can see this right here, but this is a Green Mountain Trail map for Santa Rita Mountains. You got to get one of these. This is by far the best hiking trail map that I've ever used. They have one for the Santa Catalina Mountains, for the Rincons and Saguaro National Park, and then a lot of other national forest areas in Arizona, and actually all around the nation. You should check those out. The elevation for where the buck-breasted flycatchers are at around Baldy Spring is about 8,800 feet elevation. So when my son and I did that hike up to Mount Wrightston, you start at 5,400, and Mount Wrightston is 9,453. So it's a big hike. it's a big hike. And when I took my son up there, we camped overnight and split it in two. So.
There are places you can drive to the habitat car.
Oh yeah, for buck breast flycatcher, yeah, you can in the Huachucas, you can drive up Car Canyon and get right up to the campground where they're at. Lots of easier spots, but really, in the Santa Rita Mountains, that's really the only spot I've ever found them.
Also Mount Lemon, I guess they're up there too.
Oh yeah, it's through Rose Canyon Lake and Mount Lemon. We can make it easy on ourselves, but
Just saying,
We
not
wanna do that.
everybody really wants to do that hike for one bird.
well, so you don't do it for the bird, you do it for the scenery.
Yeah, you love
If you're
hiking.
able to get up there, the view is amazing, and you're away from folks. It's an off the beaten path type
Do
of
you,
spot.
do you get pygmy nuthatches up there? I didn't know if they range down into the Santa Ritas.
Yeah, so the Santa Rita Mountains, you won't find any chickadees. You won't find pygmy nuthatch. You can find red-breasted nuthatch, especially along Carrie Nation Trail, where you're more in Douglas fir habitat. But that's one of the few spots there in the Santa Ritas where you'll be able to find red-breasted nuthatch.
And there should be flammulateds up there too. Flammulated owls like similar habitat where the buff-breasteds are, I think,
Mm-hmm.
if you're camping.
Yep. Any other questions?
Yeah, another question about the rufous cap warbler. In terms of vocalizing, are they going to be quiet except for during breeding season, or if I'm up there like in September, should I be listening for something, or is it purely just watching?
Yeah, definitely be listening, and they will be in September. They should still be calling and sometimes singing. For sure, singing. My ears aren't the best, so when it comes to some higher pitched songs, the rufous cap warbler kind of fits into that. Unfortunately, I can't hear them as well, but when I take my son, he can hear them. When I go with my friend Ethan Beasley, he can usually pick them out and hear them. So that's, yeah, you should, I would say that our ears are some of our best friends.
Yeah. I just wasn't sure if they get, completely silent after breeding season. Some of them do, but that's helpful if it'll keep singing.
Yep.
When it says, or can I talk now?
Yeah, you can talk. Yeah, go ahead.
Good morning. I'm sorry I'm late. Maybe you've already addressed the trogon, but for 40 years we always used to look for it in the Chiricahuas. And now it was very elusive at that time. And now we spotted the nest and have had a few wonderful times seeing it in the Madera Canyon. So could you address why it's making this dramatic change, or have you already talked about that?
So you mean dramatic change, like for them to be more apparent and for them to be growing in number?
Yes,
yeah.
And also more in Madera Canyon.
Yeah, so a really good, well, here, I'll preface it saying this, that I'm not a biologist, so I don't know everything when it comes to why certain birds might be growing in number or decreasing in number. But I would encourage you to maybe in the email I send out afterwards, share some information with you about elegant trogon surveys that Tucson Audubon and other partners of ours have been conducting for the past, well, I don't know how many years, quite a few years, at least 5, probably longer than that. But a lot of data showing where trogons are increasing. Actually, it seems like in the Chiricahuas, they might be decreasing a little bit, but in areas like the Patagonia Mountains and the Atascosa Highlands, they might be increasing. So in Madera Canyon and the Santa Rita Mountains, I think they're pretty stable. I think that maybe the reason that we're seeing more of them is that we have more people out in the field that are noticing them. And that's my belief as far as the Santa Rita Mountains. I do think that they definitely are increasing in other areas. Not totally sure why, but I think the reason we're seeing more now is there's more people out in the field, and there's more communication through listservs and Audubon societies and Facebook, where we're just seeing them more often in those social media areas.
Okay, I was
I'll
wondering
skip-
if
I'll
it
skip
had anything to do with global warming.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't say yes or no to that because I'm just not sure. But what I'll definitely do is put a link in the follow-up email with some Trogon information that comes from biologists and people who are out there doing the surveys. I think that'll be helpful.
Thank
That's
you.
That's a great question. And
Without making this political, you can say that certain species that were very rare 30 years ago are now ubiquitous. Varied buntings, black-capped gnatcatchers, elegant trogons. There's definitely a range expansion north and west.
yeah, it seems like we could say that for birds that have increased range and birds that have a decreased range too, like Inca doves. There's a lot on both sides, so it's really interesting.
Point.
Any other questions? All right. Well, here, I'm gonna unmute everyone. All right. So, hey, yeah, thanks for joining. I'll be sending out an email follow-up here probably in about 30 minutes or so with some of that Trogon stuff and a few other thoughts on Madera, Florida.
Put some thoughts on the rufous capped in there too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll put some directional things for rufous capped in there.
Well, could you
Sometime I'll actually see you guys out in the field and be able to look at birds with you instead of just talk about them. So,
Luke, can you put those maps in your email?
sure, yeah, I can attach those to the email.
Those are good maps.
Yeah, I'll admit I found those. I Googled Madera Canyon and Florida Canyon maps and found them, but I saved them as pictures, and so I'll put them on there for you.
Thank you. I'm too lazy to Google that.
Thank you, Luke.
Yeah,
Thanks
for sure.
so much.
Yeah, Debbie, you guys take care.
Yep,
Have a
you
great
too.
weekend.
You too.